And it is the Presidency spokesperson, Vincent Magwenya, who was briefing a little earlier. He commented on the diplomatic controversy over the comments made by South African National Defence Force Chief General Rudzani Maphwanya. It was during his visit to Iran. Magwenya says his public support of Iran was ill-advised.
Is there concern? Yes, there is a concern. At this period of heightened geopolitical tensions, as well as conflict in the Middle East, one can say the visit was ill-advised, and more so the expectation is that the general should have been a lot more circumspect with the comments he makes, which delve into the area of foreign policy that only the President as well as the Department of International Relations are responsible for, and does not fall in the purview of the officers. We are in a process of managing a very delicate exercise of one, resetting diplomatic relations with the United States, resetting political relations with the U.S., but more importantly, balancing the trade relationship in such a manner that that trade relationship is mutually beneficial.
Well, let's stay with this story and speak now to columnist Peter Bruce, who penned a hard-hitting piece on the business day, describing the SANDF chief as either a fool or a saboteur. Peter, good evening to you. Thank you for your time. Let's start with what Mr. Magwenya had to say a little earlier, and that is that President Ramaphosa did not know about General Maphwanya's visit to Iran, nor did he sanction the trip. However, that does not mean that the general's diary is controlled by the president. Just that statement alone, how big an impact do you think this is going to have on South Africa's relationship with the United States that they are, or whose relationship they're trying to rebuild?
Yeah, hi. Look, I mean, it will not be without impact. My understanding is that there is actually a team in Washington today, and has been for much of the week, from the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition, there to try and negotiate a trade deal with the US in the face of this 30% tariffs that they have imposed on us. And, a picture of the head of the South African Defence Forces sitting in a gilded hall in Tehran, not long after, by the way, the ANC had to be prevented or warned off from renting out or selling Pretoria City Hall to the Iranian government, sitting with the head of the Iranian armed forces while we try and negotiate a trade deal with the US was just beyond embarrassing and beyond foolish.
When you say, let's get into those very comments, because you say he's either foolish or, at best, he's trying to sabotage this country. On what basis?
Well, simply because, the Americans have just attacked Iran. They've dropped tens of thousands of tons of highly sophisticated weaponry on Iranian nuclear facilities. The Americans, not just this administration, but previous ones as well, going back a long way, regard Iran as
All right, let's apologize for the break in transmission there. I'm hoping Peter Bruce can still reconnect. The line to him breaking off just as we getting into the meat of the discussion. Peter, I'm told you are back. You broke off a little bit as you were concluding your statement. Can I quickly take you to what has since developed after the media briefing by Mr. Magwenya, who speaks for the president? The Democratic Alliance is demanding what they are saying is an immediate court-martial of the SANDF chief, and this is for gross misconduct and a breach of the South African National Defence Code of Conduct following his pronouncements there. Do you think that they justified in calling for this?
Well, I think some action will have to be taken against him. And, whoever authorized this trip, and it might have been the Minister of Defense, surely somebody would have put a pen to paper to say, okay, go. And if they didn't, if he just went off on his own bat, surely that would be highly irregular, given the circumstances that we are in. We are facing an economic catastrophe if these 30% tariffs come into force. And he's gone and he's thrown a real stone into the pond, this man. And either he doesn't know what he's doing or he does. And, he's going to certainly have to answer some pretty tough questions when he gets back. I don't think he'll be court-martialed. This is not Cyril Ramaphosa's style. But the question will certainly be asked of Angie Mukche is going, and if they didn't know, did he tell anybody? Are generals simply allowed to travel abroad to do business when they please? It's not as if he couldn't have known that South Africa is in a very delicate situation at the moment, diplomatically.
Yeah.
And if he didn't, and if he did it despite knowing, then it is an extremely foolish thing to have done, and he needs to answer for it.
Peter, we need to conclude our conversation because your line isn't holding up. I just want the viewers to get a gist of what General Rudzani Maphwanya said in Iran. And I want to preface that with the statement that was made by Vincent Magwenya, who, when he was briefing this afternoon, said that senior military officers do not engage in foreign policy. So let's go now to an article that was published by News 24, where General Rudzani Maphwanya is quoted as having conveyed greetings from President Cyril Ramaphosa and the Defense Minister, Angie Motshekga. And the quote goes, "The Republic of South Africa and the Islamic Republic of Iran have common goals." I close quote there, open others. And he goes on to say, "We always stand alongside the oppressed and defenseless people of the world." Maphwanya denounced Israel and in particular the bombing of Palestinians while they are standing in line for food. For people, Peter, who have watched what went on in Gaza and what continues to happen there, people literally being starved to death, in part because of the intransigence of the Israeli government, apart from the fact that there is famine in Gaza. They will question what is wrong with what General Maphwanya has said there.
Yeah. Well, it's all about diplomacy, and diplomacy is about skirting around the truth. And, diplomacy is about what is in your country's best interest. South Africa has done a lot to make its case against what the Israelis are doing in Gaza. It can hardly be expected to do any more than it has done. It's already cost the country a lot, as we all know. And for him to add, fuel to the fire is just completely ridiculous. He's a soldier. He's not supposed to be doing this sort of thing. And, it may well be his opinion, and it may be the opinion of most South Africans, but you've got to be careful. It'll be, if there's a price to pay for his indiscretion, who's going to pay it? And, who's going to think that it was worth it? South Africa, as I say, has done its piece with Israel. We've now got to sort out the consequences of that with the Americans. And we hardly need anybody, particularly a soldier who should know better, going to Iran and making his views known at a very delicate time for South Africa. It's just ridiculous. And he shouldn't have done it. And he's in trouble. And it'll be a good thing if he is.
Peter Bruce, thank you very much for your time. He is a columnist and writing an opinion piece in the Business Day today, describing the words of the South African National Defence Force chief as either foolish or perhaps intending to sabotage his country.